Let's continue on our series Adventurous Action. If you didn't watch part 1, 2, and 3, check the links in the description. From where we ended when Hamosu is giving Jumong illustrations on the best way to utilize a sword, Jumong keeps on doing his day-to-day practice constantly. One morning Hamosu accompanies a bow and illuminate him how he made them from oak. He encourage him to draw the bow completely with his current strength. And on the off chance that he can do that, then Hamosu vows to show him the art of archery. Jumong start his training and his first attempt surprised Hamosu. He requests that he rehash it. He do it again and Hamosu is truly satisfied with his abilities and energy. Byang comes and illuminate him how Yongpo and Dochi have areas of strength for an organization, and he has seen her so by any time he could find where Jumong is hiding. While she's leaving, Jumong gives her an embrace since she has endured a lot as a result of him. So Sono was aside with her body monitors looking after them and she suspects Jumong and Byang are in a relationship. She returns and emotionally reviewing that moment, it appears to be she's enamored with Jumong. Wote comes in and tells her Jumong has come. She comes out energetically and extends her regard since she knows he's a prince. Jumong requests her to acknowledge his friends under their trade clan. She first denies in light of the fact that these are similar guys who kidnapped her. She asks him to forgive her since she offended him in the past since she didn't realize he was a prince. Simultaneously Daiso visits and he sees Jumong. He comes and asks Jumong what he's doing here, so Sono praise him for recovering so rapidly as the method for protecting Jumong. She further illuminate him how Jumong is her rescuer. This surprise him. She welcomes him inside and Jumong choose to leave. Yet Daiso lets him know how he need to discuss something with him. They have a little discussion as Daiso pretends like nothing occurred between them. Jumong asks Sono to venture out for some time. She emerges and her father asks her whether the one who saved her as of late is additionally a prince. This makes Chief Yuntabal extremely blissful. He enlightens her how Crown Prince Daiso loves her. Even Jumong is definitely not a terrible decision, so Sono pretends how she will determine her own destiny. And she let him know on how Jumong brought his 3 friends and requested she let them in. Her dad gives her power to choose. Inside, Jumong stoops before Daiso and explains to him how he lost all that and asks why Daiso still need to kill him. Jumong begs for his life. Daiso asks him, assuming he knows the justification for what good reason he need him dead. He simply need his life and there's nothing more to it. He lets him know how Jumong and his mom in the past brought Ye Soya his mom much agony since they entered the palace. He proceeds that himself and Yongpo never felt the affection of his majesty in light of Jumong and his mom. Jumong reminds him how he got through the embarrassment from him and Yongpo. His mother suffered under the torture of her majesty the queen. Jumong proceeds and begs for his life. Daiso illuminates him how he won't waste his time endeavoring to kill him, so he doesn't need to stress, yet he reminds him in the event that he at any point incite him once more, he won't ever let him go and he leaves. Wote brings Marie and the group and inform his father how these 3 are permitted to be vendors, merchants, porters. They work for quite a while and wish they never joined. Marie advises them to follow him. They leave the stuffs there and move away. They come to the training ground where Wote is training the guards of the group. Marie tells him how his men ought to be given tasks which are more reasonable. They request to enlist in the guard protectors of the clan. Wote questions their abilities and Marie calls Ohi and Wote likewise calls Shongshan. They give them wooden blades and Ohi discards it. They begin battling and Ohi shows this fella why he needn't bother with a stick to battle. He shows him the kicking styles they ought to train. The man would prefer not to get back to the battle, yet he would rather not let his mentor down. Ohi gives him another and he rests. Wote has no choice and lets them in. Later they stroll through the town and see Dochi's men. Ohi enlightens them how they are additionally Chief Yuntabal's men. At the point when they set to fight them, Marie and the group shows them cards which demonstrate they are one of Yuntabal's guards. So he ought to go after them on his own risk to begin a conflict with the clan. Han Dang comes and inform this to his boss Dochi. King Gimwa calls for General Hube Kai and inform him the prisoner who didn't die in the last attacks on the prison. And that prisoner was Hamosu. The king accepts his as yet alive and orders the general find him. He gathers some few soldiers and illuminate them about the mission. However, Prime Minister was in cover listening each word expressed. He informed this to the priestess. She encouraged him to leave Hamosu to die a natural death. Yet he insists and tells her Hamosu should never meet his majesty. After he moves out and calls for one of the royal guard, he orders him to keep a close eye on the priestess Yomilyu. The priestess orders one of the worker to gather the star child to her place. They bring her, and we get to see Spy has already started doing his work. She comes and Yomilyu solicitation to get her solidarity. She wants her to find out where Hamosu is hiding, but she never informed her his name. She start doing her work, and honestly I don't have the foggiest idea about this cycle. After some time she manages to locate him and inform her that he's in Mountain Chunmu. She quickly goes there and find him, but unfortunately the Prime Minister's man was following her. They move inside and she lets him know the king is not aware about her meeting him. She enlightens him how she came to sever the wound connection among him and her. Hamo doesn't get it. She illuminates him that she's the person who held him captive for the past 20 years, and she claims it was for sake of Buyo, that he was the foreboding shadow covering the son of Buyo. Still Hamosu doesn't get it and asks her how is it that he could do that. She proceeds that him constructing his empire Buyo would normally be under his shadow. He asks her whether King Gimwa is familiar with it. She comes clean with him. She furthermore encourage him to leave Buyo and go to at absolutely no point ever show up in the future. Hamosu denies and tells her that he will leave in the wake of meeting King Gimwa. She lets him know how Lady Yowa turned into His Highness concubine. Hamosu recollects how Jumong informed him about his stepbrothers who endeavored to kill him, so he asks Yomilyu whether Prince Jumong is Yowa's child. This unexpected her to know that Hamosu is familiar with Jumong. The spy informed the Prime Minister the information he gathered. He then meets Daiso and illuminate him about Hamosu and his relationship with King Gimwa, and how Lady Yowa was in love with him. He enlightens him concerning the awful side if Hamosu and King Gimwa meet and advise him to get rid of Hamosu immediately. Daiso meets his mom attempting to affirm whether Hamosu and Lady Yowa had an affection. She lets him know that she thinks Jumong might be Hamosu's son. Jumong proceeds to train and perfecting his sword abilities. Prince Yongpo comes and corrects some swords from the ironware workshop. Mopamo attempts to stop them, however they take steps to kill him in the event that he at any point illuminate the king. Chief Yuntabal is informed the way that Dochi's clan uses the metal from Buyo Armory for exchange. He thinks about how they figured out how to get these weapons from the armory. Daiso orders Yongpo to mobilize the soldiers. Yongpo informs him how it requires to inform the king. Daiso advises him to ensure the king never have some familiarity with this. They intend to gather 200 soldiers. Priestess Yomilyu meets Lady Yowa and asks her they move outside the palace, and she meets somebody. They come in the forest and Lady Yowa shockingly sees Hamosu and she can barely handle it. They have a conversation and she illuminates him how she was pregnant of his kid when he was caught by the Han. She lets him know she had trust that the child would acquire his unbelievable archery abilities, and she named him Jumong. Hamosu tells her he knows Jumong. They met in the jail where he was locked for a very long time. Hamosu advises her not to inform Jumong about his genuine father. Gimwa will remain his genuine father since he raised him. He illuminates her that he should leave. Hamosu can't completely accept that the individual he helped unknowingly was his child. That evening Lady Yowa meets King Gimwa and tells him how she met Hamosu. Gimwa asks her where's he. She informs him Hamosu fears to involve His Highness further, thus he would not meet him. She requests him to allow her to spend the rest of her life with Hamosu. King Gimwa tells her for the beyond a decade she had the option to stay with him, so this was sufficient to make him an exceptionally satisfied man. King Gimwa demands to see Hamosu and convince him to remain. Jumong has reached at a specific level and his archery skill has improved. Hamosu requests the bow. He measures the objective first without the bolt by the assistance of Jumong because he can't see. He enlightens Jumong that on the off chance that he's doing combating 1,000 warriors, and on the off chance that there is a long stretch between shots, regardless of how strong his shots are, he would be killed before he even attempts to strike on his subsequent bolt. He continues that a talented archer needs to shoot like quick discharge, so he demonstrates to Jumong how to point once and discharge away all at one go. These are the skills only few of us knows. Jumong begin practicing this strategy and he managed to hit just 3 on target. After Hamosu informs Jumong how he should safeguard individuals who are near him, so he sent him to proceed to visit his mom despite the fact that was removed from the royal residence. Hamosu needs to utilize this chance to leave. Unfortunately Daiso and Yongpo have accumulated 200 soldiers to go after Hamosu, and the Prime Minister was the master planner of all. Hamosu ventures out as he's en route to leave the region. The king additionally sneaks away the royal residence trying to meet Hamosu. Muri and the group meet Jumong and inform him how hundreds regarding troopers were seen progressing towards their stockade minutes ago. Jumong runs quicker to attempt to save his master, but he's too late because Daiso and the group have as of now surrounded the region. Hamosu identifies a lot of strides and acknowledge there are a lot of individuals. They begin progressing forward slowly, yet Hamosu had proactively distinguished them and takes out his sword. They attack him and they begin engaging him. They are numerous and Hamosu is isolated and blind, yet this doesn't make any difference to a thoroughly trained general of his caliber. Jumong and the group shows up and that second sees Daiso and Yongpo and get to realize they are behind this. Jumong attempts to join the fight to save his master, yet his companions hit his head and blacks out as a method for saving his life as well. Hamosu thrashes every one of the warriors as though they are the ones blind. Daiso arranges for additional troopers to attack. Still they are adequately not to put this man down with a lot of sword abilities. Daiso arranges for bowmen to strike him. As Hamosu is butchering his hit by numerous bolts, they strike once more and more hit him. This time there's a big deal, his perishing. Daiso comes and finishes him with a lot of anger and Hamosu dies. King Gimwa shows up and sees an unusual inclination about the spot. They run quicker just to see a dead body of Hamosu with various bolts. The king is extremely stunned and cries. Jumong awakens and gets some information about his master. They illuminate him how his master kicked the bucket. He runs faster to the stockade and find nothing. He sees his sword. Jumong bitterly begins calling his master. King Gimwa carries Hamosu's body to a specific mountain, because back in the days Hamosu requested him that assuming that he passes on, he would rather not be buried. He wanted his body to be dumped in one of the great mountains. Priestess Yomilu asks the Prime Minister who killed Hamosu. He tells her it was him. Yomilu vapor inquiring as to why he did that. The Prime Minister informs her how he just eliminated the seed of calamity and he doesn't regret doing what he did. He further informed her how he was not alone in this, even King's son Daiso was involved. Lady Ye Soya's servant informs her she heard that Lady Yoa refuses eat or drink. They feel exceptionally cheerful seeing her in this condition. Woman Yoa doesn't eat, drink or address anybody. Lady Ye Soya visits her claiming to be upset for her circumstance, yet inside we know how she feels. In the loyal chamber the king is informed the day Hamosu was killed Chengnan armed force was dispatched and, surprisingly, General had barely any familiarity with this. General inform him how the official concealed this from him and followed up on their own. The king orders for that official. They bring Yongpo and the king ask him for what reason he didn't report to him first when he dispatched the military, and he needs to know where they went. At the point when Yongpo is going to come clean with him, Daiso comes and take the responsibility of what they did. Daiso lets him know how he knew about the man they killed and that man was Hamosu. The king exhausts, yet this is his blood. He don't have anything to do to, he angrily sends them out. Daiso moves out and meet the Prime Minister. He illuminate Daiso how he's the only one in particular who dare to be Buyo's ruler, and he vows his devotion to him. That late evening King Gimwa orders his man to proceed to bring back Jumong to the royal residence. Muri comes to Chief Yuntabal's place, so Sono gives him cash to pay for Jumong's wine. Jumong nowadays drinks a lot subsequent to being heartbroken. They enlighten him how Jumong's injuries will just recuperate with time. Jumong drinks constantly and go through his everyday time on earth with ladies. Muri comes and give Musong the cash to deal with Jumong, however feeling bad about his condition. Jia brings Mo Pamo for the second time to Yuntabal's place. Yuntabal illuminate him how he need to help him in his studies to make the most strongest sword. How will Mo Pamo pay him in Ret Run, so they make deal in that manner. The following day, as expected, Jumong drinks. Today he endeavors gambling. They begin to play. That second Handang was in the bar and sees Jumong. Yongpo and Dochi are colleagues and they smuggle Buyo's swords to Okjo, Buyo's neighboring enemies. Handang comes and inform them about Jumong. As Jumong proceeds with gambling, the king's #1 guard comes. He inform him how the king needs him back in the palace. Jumong reject and tell him to return and inform the king that Jumong is still distant from being a genuine prince. The guard returns and inform the king how Jumong is heartbroken and drinks constantly. That evening Musong and Jumong are on their way getting back. They are gone after by Yongpo's men. They begin battling, yet today Jumong they found is on different level with a wide range of kicking styles. That second King Gimwa was en route to take Jumong back in the palace. He finds him battling. His guard endeavors to join, yet he declined. He need to see which kind of individual Jumong is presently. Jumong thumps up these men, not mindful that the king is watching. After when they are leaving they face the king and they show their respect. Yongpo was aside seeing them. They have a beverage and the king enlightens Jumong how he removed him from the royal residence, that sometime he would meet anew of him. Jumong says he attempts, yet every time he continues he sink further inside a hole, and even his master passed on as a result of him. The king illuminate him that his mom is extremely wiped out, so he orders him to return and take care of his mom. Jumong gets back and Lady Yoa this time says a word. Yongpo informed the family how His Highness left the palace to bring Jumong back personally. Daiso asks Yongpo how he had some awareness of this. Yongpo answers how he saw it with his own eyes. He found Jumong whereabouts and endeavored to kill him, yet he confronted an alternate Jumong with a lot of battling abilities. Daiso tells him not try to kill Jumong again from now on. Jumong begin treating his mom and we see his back in his loyal garments. Murray and the group hears the report about Jumong's return in the palace. They feel exceptionally blissful. So Sono is also informed about the news. Wote lets them know that His Highness permitted Jumong to return on the grounds that Jumong remains as a cherished memory to King. Seong asks Sono whether she spent all the cash in Jumong just for profit. Seong tells her how she have a relationship with Jumong on one side, and with Daiso on the opposite side. She illuminate him that he's essentially on the right track about that, yet it's everything for the clan's advantage. After at some point Lady Yeowa recuperates and Jumong was right close by. Lady Yeowa illuminate him that he have a major mission to finish, yet when he has acquired his regard and the capacity to lead people, then she will tell him that mission. Mo Pamo keeps on making swords yet they are still weak. He moves out and sees Jumong. Mo Pamo informs him how Yongpo and palace emissary smuggles out swords from the iron workshop. Jumong tells him to stay discreet. Jumong vows to deal with this matter when opportunity arrives. He later meets his senior siblings and show his respect. He continue to the loyal chambers and inform the king Lady Yeowa has awakened and feeling better. King Gimwa asks him who has been attempting to kill him. Jumong choose to mislead him as he imagines not knowing. The king asks him where he acquired his battling abilities, since he saw him battling against certain men. Jumong lets him know how he was outside the royal residence and met master who trained him, yet tragically he died. Jumong proceeds with that before that his master let him know he battled against the Han nation with your majesty. Gimwa asked whether he was blind. Jumong replied yes and informed him about the letter he sent. King Gimwa is extremely shocked yet satisfied about the nature's destiny. King Gimwa calls for all loyal members and the nobles to a certain meeting. He informed them that he need to discuss the matter of the crown prince. He calls Daiso, Yongpo and Jumong to come forward. He illuminate them that he will be observing them to decide the fitting crown prince beginning from today. He will take a gander at their characters, talents and what the individual can propose to people. So the king closes by telling them that they need to compete for Buyo. This frustrates a few individuals and they inform him how the oldest son ought to be the crown prince. The king asks Daiso whether he agree. Daiso says that he will consent to your highness desires and compete with his siblings. He after illuminate Jumong that he gave his siblings a few undertakings with respect to the government assistance of the nation. So the king lets him know how he will have him do any work he need. Jumong instead wants a permission to leave the palace. So annoying. He makes sense of that he have been protected inside the royal residence, so he needs to go and experience the world outside. The king agrees. Daiso and the family are as yet stressed over Jumong's choice to leave the palace. Lady Ye Sawyer orders the palace emissary to send a messenger to her uncle. Prime Minister and the priestess notice Jumong. He tells her that a weak hare turned into a tiger while he was out. Yomilyu is disturbed in light of the fact that the king settled on a major choice without talking with her first as the high priestess. The following day Lady Ye Sawyer's uncle known as Mega shows up in the city. Seong illuminates Sono that Mega is the most impressive nobleman of Buyo Sakuldo. Sakuldo is a land where noblemen oversee under the king. He meets the king and Gimwa orders the prime minister to give him 25 ponies. He after meets the queen and she inform him about the competition about the title of the crown prince. Mega tells her that he was stunned also when he heard this matter. That evening Mega meets the king in his chambers. He illuminate him about Buyo's traditions for the first son to be the crown prince. King Gimwa enlightens him that in the event that Daiso has the capacity, he will win. He includes that they don't need to follow custom. The crown king ought to acquire regard from the public authority as well as the nearby individuals. Daiso beg his mom to quit contradicting the king's choice. She illuminate him that even in competition the king will lean toward Jumong. Jia informs the gathering how the king requested a competition for the title of crown prince among the three princes. Seong says that this choice is to lean toward Prince Jumong. This is getting fascinating. Yongpo keeps on sneaking the swords and acquire more profits. Dochi enlightens him how he could likewise be the crown prince. In the forest that night Handang meets the Okjo soldiers as they do it every day while smuggling the swords. Yet tragically there's some people keeping an eye on them. They attack them. They have a go at shielding themselves, however they are no match. So they retreat. The swords had the Buyo's craftsmanship. These are troopers of the Han and they take these swords to Hyeon Chugun city. They report this issue to the governor. They promptly send a letter to King Gimwa. The letter was to illuminate the king that the Han have halt all the trades including salt with Buyo. They have proof that Buyo is as yet making weapons and distribute them to Okjo. What's more, the king should go to Hyeontugun city personally to get orders from the Han nation. The king orders for Mo Parmo to be captured. Mo Parmo had nothing to say regarding this issue. The beneficial thing the king trust him a lot. Palace emissary vow to examine this matter. I can't help thinking about how Yomilyu comes and illuminate the king how salt is critical to individuals. So she recommends that he need to go to Hyeontugun city. Yongpo comes and thrashes Dochi for neglecting to finish the mission and destroying everything. He orders him to dispose of the proof and ensure his workers stay silent. Prime Minister prompt the king not to go to Hyeontugun city. He ought to envision the embarrassment he will endure there. Daiso comes and requests to go to Hyeontugun and meet the governor Yang Jong. Prime Minister will go with him. Jumong's mom illuminate him that assuming Daiso settle the issue, he will be recognized by the king. Jumong king her that it's his time he leave the palace. The following day Daiso gets out of the palace making a beeline for Hyeontugun. As well as Jumong likewise moves out and meet his companions, he illuminate them how he left the palace again to leave outside. They are frustrated on the grounds that they anticipated he should accept them in the royal residence. Chief Yun Tabal comes that second. Jumong request him to be permitted to work in his trade clan. We shall continue from here the next time. Subscribe to the channel to help it out. Thanks for watching.